Hello, this is Noah. This is my presentation for English 270. I'm going to be presenting Thus Spoke Zarathustra by the 19th century German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche. So before I start, I just want to pose two basic questions. Why is a philosopher writing a book of fiction? And two, why is this book of fiction written in such an unusual way? So Nietzsche is considered to be one of the first existentialists, and I'm going to briefly summarize his philosophical project because it is very important for understanding this book, which is in itself a work of philosophy, despite it being fictional. Nietzsche was an opponent of Christian morality because he believed that it caused a deterioration of European culture, intelligence, and physiology. He was also against the herd mentality that characterized his fellow Europeans. He was against pessimism, and he was against doctrines such as religious or spiritual doctrines that would slander the physical world as it unfolds before us in favor of another world, or a world that exists beyond what we currently experience, such as a heaven realm or a pure land in Buddhism. And this whole book is very, very unusual. Who is Zarathustra? Right? Zarathustra is a real person. He is considered to be the founder of Zoroastrianism, a religious movement that really saw the beginning of a bifurcation between the value judgments good and evil, which was, in Nietzsche's view, the foundation for Christian morality. It was appropriated by the sacerdotal types and used to create a universal moral code. If we think about the cardinal sins, we can think of the things they slander, right? Greed, lust, envy. And Nietzsche believed this to be dangerous. He really admired the Greeks and Romans. He thought they were very, very good examples of noble races of people. And he believes that the Christians really overthrew the Greeks and Romans, these noble, strong people, by threatening them with the idea of God. And they created an entire moral system to slander their behaviors and practices that made them so strong, such as their partying, drinking, and indulgences. So, to Nietzsche, it would be very fitting if a character like that would become the protagonist of his story and be the carrier or the messenger for Nietzsche, a person who could really go out there and talk to the masses and explain to them everything that's wrong with their beliefs and explain to them what they should be doing instead. So, this book is written in 4 parts, and the fourth part is somewhat different from the rest of the parts, but the majority of the book is a collection of speeches. Zarathustra speaking. He's not engaging in dialectics, because Nietzsche also believed dialectics, such as Socratic dialectics, to be weapons for the weak, in the same way that Christianity was a weapon for the weak classes and the weak peoples of the Roman Empire as they overthrew the noble Romans. So, Zarathustra, he criticizes pessimists, he criticizes nationalists, anti-Semites, and he tells people that they are an end. What does that mean? Humanity has hit a brick wall, guys. We're stuck in this milieu, and it's really bad for our health as well as our intelligence. The milieu is the way it is because the Christians have assumed so much power in society. And that's really important to understanding why this book is written in this way. If we think about a goldfish who's stuck in a bowl, they're not going to understand that they're in water because they can't step back and look at themselves in the bowl. It's sort of the case with the 19th century Europeans. They can't understand anything unless it's brought forth to them in their terms. So because these Europeans were ensconced in this Christian milieu, Nietzsche created a book that is written in a style and with language that will be very familiar to them. There are many parallels between Zarathustra and Jesus Christ, as he's described in the New Testament, as well as the language and syntax utilized by the writers of the Gospels of the New Testament. Zarathustra uses a lot of um, archaic syntax. He uses a lot of vocabulary that might be familiar to readers of the New Testament. This was the method that Nietzsche thought to be necessary for deliverance of his message for humanity. This is sort of why the book is titled A Book for All and for None. Everyone is going to be involved in this project, but there's also a good chance that no one is going to be able to understand this project because it's just so ahead of its time. So what is a project? Because humanity doesn't end, humanity needs to band together and work to become the fathers, mothers, parents, and forebearers of a new class of humans. A class of humans that he calls the Übermensch. And these people are going to create their own values. They're no longer going to be bound by moral dogmatism and conventional Christian morality. They're going to be able to think for themselves and think critically. They're going to focus on their immediate lives. They're no longer going to complain about how life is full of suffering. They're no longer going to look for cop-outs and look for excuses, and really just enjoy life and to take life as it appears to them as all that there really could be and all that there really is. So Zarathustra also talks about the eternal recurrence, which is an idea that there's a good chance that we could just repeat the same life over and over and over again. And if you're just stuck in this eternal cycle, then the only thing you could really do is to just enjoy it. So Zarathustra talks a lot about happiness and laughter and dancing, and it's a very fun book. It's an excellent work of philosophy, and it's very unusual because it's written in this biblical style. So I really do recommend this book, just because it's very enjoyable to read, and you also get to understand really the majority of Nietzsche's philosophical project. Although it would be very helpful for you to read the rest of his books, such as The Genealogy of Morals and Beyond Good and Evil. So final point, since I'm running out of time. Zarathustra, because he's talking in speeches, doesn't really follow a specific narrative. But it is still a work of fiction. So if you are expecting a narrative, that isn't really the case. But we do get a beginning and an end. Zarathustra begins his journey when he's 30, just like Jesus. And by the time he ends, he has gray hair. But that's about it for Zarathustra. Thank you guys for watching.